think when you were first saying that, I'm the best and no one can do what I do you think then you believed it? Or do you think by saying that over and over again, it eventually?
I think because I had done the weddings for friends and family, I think like everybody was so impressed with what I did. And maybe they were just encouraging me because I was family, right? They're like, oh, you did great, Giuseppe. You know, it's like when, you know, you have singers, you see people on American Idol or whatever, and they go out there and somebody's been telling them they're great, so they go out and they weren't that great. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, who knows. But I was one of those people who just believed I was great. And so because of a few people chirping in my ear, you're great, you're great, you're great. Okay, let's see if I'm actually great. And let me put myself out there to people that don't know who I am. And I remember the first wedding, I'm Italian, so I get a lot of Italian weddings. The first wedding I was booked for, from that bridal show, they weren't Italian. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? Because, you know, they talk about culture and stuff. And so, as a professional, I studied them. He was Canadian, let's say, fully Canadian. He's been here, like his family 3-4 generations down, and she was Hungarian. So, okay, I got to learn this. Actually, you're Hungarian.
Yeah.
Right? That's right. So it was that. And I said, okay, I'm going to study them. I'm going to learn about their culture, learn about their culture. And then when I went in there and I started talking about marriage and how their cultures are going to work together, they were in shock. As a professional, that's what I should do, right? Do my thing. And so, I don't know. I just kept saying it enough and believed it, but I truly did believe it.
So then how did you use social media to get yourself to the point that you were able to turn from an MC into, well, I guess still a full-time MC, but also a comedian?
So, it's funny, when I got Instagram a little later than everybody else. So I had all these things registered, but I hadn't actually, Instagram was the last thing I had got registered, to be honest, because I hadn't had it. But I knew no one's going to have Giuseppe the MC as his name. And I remember when I got Instagram, it was, you know, in the beginning when everybody gets Instagram, selfies and, you know, putting up silly pictures, trying to get people's attention. And then around the same time, my sister was getting married. So I wasn't asked to MC the wedding because I was part of the bridal party. It was a family thing. But I said, I got to say a speech. So I did a speech about my mom and my brother-in-law. And I did the whole speech. It was like 20 minutes, and it was completely in Calabrese, which is my dialect in Italian. It's a southern dialect. Straight, 20 minutes. It's just a full comedy routine. And everybody went nuts because I was ripping on my mom and my brother-in-law at the same time. I was saying that she loves him more than she loves me. It was a story. And so after that wedding, people were asking my dad for the wedding video. We want to see it again. We want to watch it again. And he was asking me, no, we got to get the wedding video for Mariangela. That's my sister's name, Mariangela. Because people want to see your performance. And that's when I clued in that I want to do a show. So I created a show. And I used social media to promote it. Because how else was I going to get people there? You know, I rented out the biggest room I can get for the cheapest that I could find. I rented out a room, 400 people, seats. And I said, okay. I started designing posters, and I started just letting everybody know I'm doing a show. And I hadn't even had all the material yet. I just said, I'm going to do a show. And so social media, all the posters, and between Instagram and Facebook and any other way, Twitter, everything I used, people were responding.
So what's the timeline between you doing your sister's wedding, people saying it was great, to you deciding, okay, I'm going to schedule a show, and then what's the timeline between that show actually happening?
So my sister got married in 2013. And then people were bugging my dad for about a year until I said, okay, I'm going to do something. And it was October of 2014. I woke up one morning, literally from bed. I said, I think I want to do a show. I went straight from my bed to the computer, started looking up venues, and I said, okay, where can I go? That's, again, my show was going to be in half Italian. So I picked a place in Vaughan. Figured, there's a strong Italian community out there. Free park. I tried to come up with no excuses. Free parking, make the tickets really cheap, and just promote it. And so my show was in May. My first show was May 14, 2015. I put tickets for sale up in December. So October, I decided December tickets were on sale. I would have done it in November, but I was doing Movember at the time, so I didn't want to interfere with, asking money for this, asking money for that. And I had asked people to help me sell tickets. And I thought they would take months to sell tickets. I gave, one person 10, another person 20, depending on the relationship I had with them. They had them all sold by January. My show was sold out. I had such a demand, I added a second show.
Wow.
So it was May 14th and then May 20th. 2 sold out shows, 800 people, so 800 people in total. And I still hadn't any material yet. I had an idea of what I was going to talk about. So you know what? I think I gotta get started here. And so the shows happened. They were great. And then I quit my job. I said, I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I want to do this. It was a very idiotic move at the time because I had a very high-paying job.
What were you doing?
I was a finance manager in a car dealership. So I paid very well. I had a free car to drive. It wasn't a hard job. It was a bit of a boys' club. Everybody's at the dealership. We're just hanging out. I only worked. If I was there for like 8-9 hours, I actually physically worked for about an hour and a half, and the rest was just hanging out, talking. To changing my life dramatically. When you go from making a very good income to not, you have to make a lot of adjustments. You realize quite quickly the things you don't need. Because you can't afford them.
Right.
So it was a big reality check. And then I had done another show in November, 6 months later, for my first show, which again was a little crazy. Remember, I had never done stand-up before, and I went from never doing stand-up to a full 1 hour show. And so I had come up with a brand new set of material all within the same year, which when I talk to a lot of comedians, it's near impossible.
Yeah, it's very hard.
So yeah, so I have a friend of mine, Eric Johnston. He performs with me. He's a professional, he's a true professional. And he says, no one does what you've done. Like, how did you do it? So I don't know, I just did it. I believe that I can do it. And it comes back to believing you can do something. Then after that show, it's okay, what am I doing now? I've done 2 hours worth of materials, all within the GTA. And around that time, Instagram started allowing you to do videos. So I just started making goofy videos. They were just literally goofy videos. And they were very cultural based. And then my followers started shooting up very quickly. It was 100 a day.
Were you using hashtags, or what were you doing to
promote
it?
A bit of both. Trying to put out the best content I can put out. I mean, that's key. People were sharing. A lot of key people were sharing. There's a few accounts, if I can mention them.
Sure.
Like Italian comedy, hardcore Italians. These are people that have big accounts that share Italian comedic videos and memes, whatever, right? And so they would share. So now there's a new audience that have never seen me before.
Yeah.
Finding out who I am.
That's huge.
Yeah, and that was very big. And so actually over time, a lot of other Italian Instagram accounts started popping up. And instead of competing, we all became friends. Coincidentally, a lot of them are in the GTA. So we all hang out. We all are in each other's videos. We all reshare. We try to help each other out. So that really helped. It started to grow. And then there was one point when I started making videos dressing up like my mom. So it would be myself and then my mom. And those are the ones that exploded. Those are the ones that on Instagram they would hit a certain number, but on Facebook, because it's a lot easier to share on Facebook, they just started going, I would say semi-viral. They didn't hit 1 million, but they would hit 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, which for a video that's completely in dialect, it's not bad.
That's very good.
And people started messaging me from around the world. You talk like us. You're acting like my mom or my grandmother. When are you going to come to perform here? And I had no thought of traveling that far. I figured, okay, maybe I can do a show in Montreal. There's another strong Italian community out there. So I started getting so many messages that I, out of nowhere, just said, you know what? Forget going to Montreal. I think I'm going to just tour everywhere people are asking me. And then it was just game on. Okay, let's do this. I started calling venues. How much are you going to charge me to rent your place? Because I rented everything. I have nobody helping me do anything.
You started calling venues where? Like all over the whole world?
Yeah. Like I'd find out where other comedians would perform that are of similar like heritage. Like there's the most popular Italian comedian is Giuseppe. So I'd literally see where he performed.
That's a good idea.
Because I figured, he's from Southern Italy. I'm from Southern Italy. We're both from Calabria. And so if he went there, that means there's got to be an audience there. And if he's watching this now, thanks, Joe. And I have a great story about him. But he would book places. So then I would call and say, hey, Joe Vadi performed there. Yeah. And so how did it work? Yeah, well, this is what we charged. Okay, let's do it. They're like, what do you mean? Who are you? I'm Giuseppe the MC. Who's that? Don't worry. And I would just start giving my credit card. And I started booking place and place and place. And I started with, so Canada was, Montreal, Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay. Again, strong Italian communities, because my show's in Italian. Calabrese, like I said. And then in Australia, I needed somebody there. So I needed somebody to tour with. And so I had discovered someone. Her name is Nikki D'Agostino. She's known as Little Miss Squeezebox. She plays the accordion. She's Southern Italian. She was playing old-time music, but, she was a young lady. And I'm like, wow, this would be a great combination. Called her, like I messaged her, and by the time a week went by when she realized I wasn't hitting on her, I said, hey, look, this is serious. I really want to tour with you. This, no joke. We got a hold of each other, and I'm like, look, I want to tour with you, and let's do this. And she's like, okay. And that's it. And then I'm like, okay, what do you think? Name me some venues. And then I started going on Joe Vadi's website. I saw where he'd perform. I'm like, okay, what do you think of this place, this place, this place, this place? And she's like, yeah, whatever, let's do it. So I called all these places one by one. And they had no clue who I was. Some of them would say, hey, I think I saw one of your videos online, but, whatever. Right. And I just started renting venues.
That's amazing. Okay.
And I didn't even realize when you go to Australia, you needed a visa to go work. So I booked all these places, and I wasn't even allowed to work there. And then I found out. So I'm like, all right, what do I do now? And it took me 7 months to get my visa. But I still kept selling tickets without any, just believing I was going to get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with the social media, you said something earlier that I think is really important. You were talking about how you connected with a lot of these other comedians and people in your community, other Italian comedians or just anyone else that were doing similar things. And rather than you guys trying to actually compete against each other, you banded together and you kind of formed.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great things about social media, because it's true. It's like if someone likes what you do, they're going to like what someone else does, and people want more of it, right? They don't want to only watch you or only watch someone else.
No, it's so important. It's, especially if you're a cultural-based comedian, people are like, oh man, that made me laugh. Oh, if that's the case, then you should watch this guy, or you watch this girl, and that's what was happening. And again, coincidentally, a lot of them are from Toronto, but we've made friends in New York. We have friends in Montreal. My Montreal show, I found somebody on social media, and he became my host. And he had never performed on stage before, and I called him up. I said, look, I want you to perform. This is what you're going to do. And he did it, and he did amazing. And I had only discovered him because of social media.
Yeah.
And we're just a community that try to help each other out.
So do you think that a lot of people thinking that there's a lot of competition, or people doing the same thing, do you think that the social media is helping to bridge the gap? And
you know what? There is competition, but fortunately, all of us have something unique to offer. I've been doing this a lot longer. The social media stuff, I've been doing it as long as everyone else. How old is Instagram, right? But, I've been emceeing for 20 years. So I have that experience. I have you know, okay, I've done this. My tour happened recently, but when I emceed, there was always a bit of a comedic undertone, right? And so, what we try to do for each other, besides reposting each other's videos, is, you know, if there's an event, say, hey, you want to come out? You want to try? What do you want to do? Do you want to be on stage? Do you want to make video? What do you want? And we all kind of talk to each other, and we say, hey, this is what I can do. This is how I can help you. And for the most part, it's been fantastic.